Yeah, welcome to the Making of Me podcast, where we explore the defining moments and challenge that shape who we have become. Today, we are joined by Michael Ostrolenk, a human resilient and cautious relationship coach, master coach at our Lift, Unbeatable Mind Academy, and expert in mindset, semantic, and human potential. Michael helps people cultivate resilience, self mastery, and courage to live their highest potential. It's really a pleasure having you on the show, Michael.
Thank you. I appreciate having me on. Look forward to this conversation.
Yeah, thank you. So, Michael, what were some of the challenges that shaped you into who you are today?
Yeah, quite a few, but I'd say early on, when I was 5 years old, I was rushed to the hospital with a 105-degree fever and ended up spending a little more than a month there. Eventually diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder is when an immune system attacks your own body. In my case, it was attacking my bones. The first week I was there, they thought I had cancer, so I was in the cancer ward. They finally diagnosed me with this autoimmune disorder, and I was put into a different area of the hospital and spent a month there. And I would say, at 5 years old, and this is 1975, we weren't as well thought through in terms of what the family might need in terms of therapy and stuff like that. So there was none. My parents weren't giving any therapy to help me. I wasn't giving any therapy. It's all purely medical. And for a 5-year-old, it's pretty effing scary to be in a
Yeah,
hospital for a month
well,
if you're going to live. And I'd say that's one of the early formative experiences. And I can share a couple more if you'd like, but that's definitely set me on a certain path.
amazing, amazing. So, how do you define resilience, and why is it so important in both personal growth and relationship?
Yeah, so I work with J.C. Glick. He's a former Army Ranger, 11 combat tours, and he and I created Resilience Optimized Men's Group. It's a men's group we co-lead, and we talk about Resilience 2.0. And we like to distinguish it between 1.0 and 2.0. 1.0 is what you could imagine. I don't know if you have this in Nigeria, but we have Jocko Willink. He's a former Navy SEAL, and he takes pictures of his barbells 4:30 in the morning. He's up working out really hard, which is great. Like, it's really important for people to get up and physically train and build their bodies. Or I like to joke, David Goggins, also another SEAL, he gets up before breakfast and runs 100 miles. Like, in that case, resilience is like, what are you physically capable of doing? Can you keep pushing yourself to the next level of physical functioning? Be mentally tough, emotionally resilient, and just do the thing. And for a lot of us, that's really important, especially you got to scale it based on your capacities and stuff. But, to kind of physically challenge yourself to see what you're capable of, and mentally and emotionally challenge yourself. For us, Resilience 2.0 is kind of that and the and part is, we work mostly with men. Our men's group is mostly with men. I work mostly with men, but also this is not just men, it's women as well. The question I like to ask is, are you capable of sitting in your own experience for long periods of time without seeking distraction?
Mm.
Now, what I mean by that is you have a series of thoughts that cross your mind, feelings that go in your body, emotions that show up inside of you. And a lot of people feel really uncomfortable with that. And what do? Porn, drugs, alcohol, social media. They might work longer hours. They might work out more. Like, they're trying to escape their own experience. So part of the resilience for me, 2.0, is like being able to sit in your own experience for longer periods of time. Why? Because there's wisdom in your own experience. Like, your body is literally trying to tell you something about your own life, your relationship to self and others. And if you keep ignoring it, most likely what's going to happen, it's going to get louder and louder and louder. And eventually it could turn into a chronic illness if you don't deal with it. It could turn into a major interpersonal conflict because it comes out sideways. So, like, I encourage and I train people to sit in their own experiences for longer periods of time and take in the wisdom that's there as part of that process. That's part of my explanation.
Wow, that was really amazing. And you just make reference to the process. Yeah, really speak volumes. So you emphasize getting out of your comfort zone. Why is it so crucial, and how can someone start?
Yeah, so I've been doing this professionally for 30 years, and this is
Oh,
just my experience. Long time. I'm licensed as a psychotherapist for almost 30 years. I've been coaching for 25 of those 30 years. So a long time, a lot of gray hairs, you can see.
yeah.
Um, and this is just my basic understanding, intention, and my experience. There could be other people who have different takes on this, but growth does not happen in comfort zones.
Mhm.
Growth only occurs when you're made uncomfortable. Now, there's scales and degrees of being uncomfortable. If you push it too far, you're less likely to learn a lesson and grow. You might actually be destructive to your own system, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So but we don't like, I don't know if you physically train, lift weights, run, bike, whatever you might do, or your listening audience might do. You don't grow unless you push yourself. Like if you do 5 pound dumbbells and that's all you do, you're not going to grow. You have to add more weight. If you run the same amount of time, same distance, same time, you're not going to grow. You got to either run further or run
Yeah.
faster, or some combination of the two. It's in that discomfort where growth occurs. It's the same psychological. I mean, I just gave physical examples, which also have psychological correlates to it. But if you're unwilling to have that conversation with your wife or your husband, your child or your parents, your boss or your underlings, because you're afraid, okay, there's not going to be much change that's going on. You're seeking comfort. If you actually learn how to engage in those conversations, that's where the growth can occur inside their relationship. And it's true spiritually, it's true mentally, it's true emotionally, and it's true physically.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. Oh, it's just people that if you didn't go out of your comfort zone, if you didn't go beyond the small thing you actually get into, yeah, growth will naturally come into being. So, how does love factor into resilience and human growth?
Well, so I was sharing with you earlier, an aspect of Resilience 2.0 is sitting in your own experience for longer periods of time.
Mm,
A second part of that is holding the space for your partner. And I'll just use a heterosexual couple, a man and a woman, and I'll just share from the man's perspective, and he's with his wife or his partner. Okay. In my experience, in many, if not most cases, when a wife or a female partner is emotionally all over the place, most men seek to fix her as a problem. Let's resolve your problem. And I would say there's two reasons, possible reasons for that. And both are, I'm no judgment. We do this as human beings. We do this as men. One of them is, hey, it's my partner. I care for her. I don't want to see her upset. So I'm going to help her solve the problem. Another possible reason is like, I don't like her looking that way and feeling that way. It makes me uncomfortable. So I'm going to fix you because I feel uncomfortable. That's selfish. And it's understandable. We all have a tendency, we can do that kind of stuff. Okay, cool. Now, what in the context of love and resilience, what I teach my men to do is to hold the space for your partner and find out what she actually needs in that moment. Maybe she wants you to help fix the problem. Cool. Ask her to find out. Maybe she just wants you to listen. Maybe whatever. Like, I can't read her mind. You can't read her mind. So literally ask her what she needs and learn to manage yourself in the process so you can be open and loving, caring, compassionate. Because what in many cases will happen, and I work with couples, is like the female will share something that's going on for her. And the male partner will take it personally. He gets defensive and he'll start arguing with her. I'm like, okay, I understand that we all can have a tendency to become defensive and take a stance for ourselves and fight for the other person. I don't mean literally physically fight, but like, I'm right, you're wrong, and I prove
yeah.
you wrong, and do this kind of tit for tat thing. Like, okay, we do that, but it's not really healthy, and it's not usually most of the time it's useful. So I teach my men to first of all be aware of what's happening inside them. If you are triggered, you're activated, you feel yourself getting defensive, like you get a little angry, you get a little upset, whatever the thing is, be aware of that. But you're not 3 years old. You don't have to act on your feelings. You can learn to manage your feelings. So I could sit here and go, wait, she says this, whatever she says, it upsets me. Okay, I'm going to not pretend like I'm not upset. I am going to be upset. I feel upset. But I'm going to manage my nervous system in such a way that I can remain calm. I can remain cool, collected. I can have a conversation with her. I can ask her questions. I can be really curious. I can be as lovingly as possible. And the more you can do that with your partner and the more she can do that with you, you're building more resilience into the relationship because you can handle bigger and harder challenges over time.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. I think this is really lovely, being that for
Cool.
men, being that sometimes men just want to feast, especially when you just make reference of it and their partner, and it's really lovely being that. Yeah, I think there's a whole lot to actually learn from this, and while we're going through this, I'm really, really more like aim to actually learn more from the cost of this conversation. So,
Cool.
what are the top three mistakes people make when trying to overcome adversity?
So I like to put this in first, second, and third person. First meaning how I feel inside myself or how I think. Second person is a relationship with another human being. And third person is an it or something you can objectively measure. So let's start with the first person, like how I feel inside myself. A mistake being is like, it's not enough just to change your mindset. Like, let's just say for a moment, you're like, okay, I'm going through this really hard thing. It's really challenging adversity. and I'm going to change my mindset. I'm going to look at this as an opportunity for me to grow, and not just as an opportunity. I'm not like, oh my God, I'm getting beaten up by this process, this institution, this experience, these people. I mean, literally physically, like it's like hitting you really hard. Okay, instead of the victim to whatever's going on around you, I'm referring to physical violence, more interpersonal stuff, what I'm referring to. Instead of looking at it as like, oh, I'm a victim of the situation, I'm going to look at this as like, what's the lesson here? What can I learn? What can I learn about myself? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? Are there areas that I need to heal inside of myself? Are there areas I need to learn how to regulate better, to think, change my thinking, change my emotional reactions to things, like whatever the thing is? That's awesome. Like, let's change your mindset. So it's more of a growth oriented mindset instead of a fixed mindset. But you can't just change, in my experience would suggest you can't just change your mindset. You actually have to change your physical body, meaning you have to learn how to breathe and organize yourself physically to have more of a growth oriented mindset. Because if I walk around unconfident, my head's dropped, my shoulders are down, I'm scared, whatever it is, this even if I have a great mindset, this body posture indicates to me that I might be trying to think more positively, more confidently, but I'm actually collapsed. So like, we have to adjust the physical body to reflect our new mindset, the breath, the posture, the muscle tone, our voice, our tone, our volume. Like if I said to you, I'm really confident, like you'd be like, what the fuck? This dude's not really confident.
The truth.
Or getting really nervous. And I'm laughing, I'm joking it, but this is real people. So I'm not judging people, but we do that. Like, our voice, our tone, our volume, our body language does not reflect a mindset we want to have. So yes, we have to work on the mindset, but you also have to work on the voice, the tone, the volume, the posture, the breath, all that stuff. So I would say all that stuff as the whole human system in first person. If you really want to make this sustainable, you need to do that.
Wow, amazing. Yeah, diversity. Oh, you can't just say I'm confident, I'm this and that. Yes, apart from yeah, when the action is being taking place in terms of the exercise and everything, it's easier to say that I'm confident, mean that there's an energy that's in there to actually back up every of this particular thing. And that boiled down to more like some persons more like, okay, I think it boiled down to the next question I actually want to ask. So mindset is often discussed in personal growth. Why is mindset alone not enough? And what
Well,
complements it?
yeah, I kind of answered that a little bit because, like, I can say
Yeah,
that I'm confident. Like, I'm going to have a growth
yeah,
oriented mindset. I'm going to take this as a lessons to learn. I'm going to grow from it. I'm confident in my ability.
yeah,
And yet, like, my body's collapsed. I'm holding my breath. I'm barely breathing.
yeah.
I'm nervous. My heart's beating really fast. Collapse. So like, yes, it's great. Let's get a new mindset. But you also have to build the physical body,
Mm,
breath, the posture, the muscle tone, all the things I said. And let me throw in another piece into this thing. When I work with my clients, I work in 4 different pillars: physiological, psychological, social,
mm,
and environmental. And the physiological is they're all important factors in human growth and well-being, health, and resilience. The physiological thing, and I'm sure you could attest to this, if you have a really poor night's sleep, or 3 or 4 nights of poor night's sleep, or a week or 2 or 3 or 4 poor sleep, it's really hard to walk around feeling really good, energized, idle, rounded,
yeah,
confident. If you're eating like crap, you eat really unhealthy food like we do here in America, I don't know about your country,
yeah.
but we eat,
Mhm.
and so like you're not sleeping, you're not eating well, you're not exercising. I talk a lot about the circadian biology, the 24-day-night cycle. And we evolved on planet Earth for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years, day and night. It's only the last 120 years we have artificial light, and we have tons of drugs, that caffeine, nicotine, that can wake us up in the morning, and we have drugs that can help put us to sleep at night, but we're disrupting our own biology when we do that too often, right? So if you're not sleeping, eating well, living with your circadian biology, handling your stress well, exercising, your body is just not optimized. Your body is barely functioning well. You might be sick, chronic illnesses, or just depleted. If you're depleted, it's really hard to make the psychological changes you want. It's hard to be really confident if you just feel like crap. It's hard to be resilient if you just feel like crap. So it's like, let's dial in the physiology. Let's get you sleeping well, eating well based on your chronotype. Let's get you dealing with your stress a little bit better. Let's get you the circadian biology, reducing your artificial exposure to light at night before you go to sleep if you do those normal sleeping patterns. Those kind of things. I think I mentioned exercise and movement,
Yeah.
diet, nutrition, all the stuff. If you do all that stuff, you're more likely to build into your human system more resilience, generally speaking, which then makes the psychological resilience more likely to occur and more sustainable over time.
Wow, amazing. I think across the four things you just make reference of, it just shows the fact that once you have every of this particular stuff, check out resilience is very, very key. It comes easily being that you're able to kind of tick the various boxes and everything gets to build, especially when you make reference of it earlier on that, yeah, while working on your body, you're working on your mindset, you're working on every part of it. And at the end of the day, all of them kind of work together and give you the kind of energy needed when it comes to the mental more like attitudes. You got it right, the physique and everything. And yeah, it's really amazing. So you have actually more like trained our sit fit. You have worked in our semantic and coaches high performance. How do those experiences intersect in optimal human potential?
Yeah, so I had the fortune of working for Commander Mark Devine. He's a former Navy SEAL
Ooh.
commander here in the US. SEALFIT is a company he founded and was originally created to train young men who undergo Navy special warfare, become SEALs or SWIG. And I worked for him for a decade. And it was an amazing experience because I got to train with SEALs. I got to be trained by SEALs. I got to train civilians through this methodology that Mark and I created. It's just an awesome experience. And it just helped inform me because what I learned is, like, when you spend time with special operators, in this case, U.S. Navy SEALs, but, we here in the U.S., every branch has special operations. The Army Special Forces, Army Delta, the Navy's has their SEALs, Tier 1 and Tier 1 operators, and then the other folks, SOCOM and JSOC, and all this stuff. We don't have to get into the details of it. But the point is, like, when you spend time with these guys, and occasionally, depending on the branch and the folks, girls, females as well, you get to see what elite people look like, how they operate at the extreme environments they find themselves in teams that are required to have such cohesion because it's life and death. Now, some of these guys operate on their own in foreign environments, so it's not necessarily team oriented, but I spent most of my time with the Navy SEALs, so it's very team oriented stuff. And that has deeply influenced how I think about teams and the importance of strong, cohesive teams and unity of those teams, but how I also think about how you want to optimize the individuals within the team mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, all this stuff. And that deeply informs my work.
Wow, that was really, really amazing. Being that you have gone through a whole lot of rudiments to actually more like become who you have become to the end. Yeah, it's really admiring just hearing Ted's story. I'm like, ouch, I wish I was that. Yeah, yeah, amazing, amazing. So what practical tools or practice can listeners start using today to live their highest potential?
So let me walk through, and very, very briefly,
Yeah.
the four pillars: physiological, psychological, social, environmental. I won't do a deep dive because we don't have a lot of time. But physiologically, I would say three things are key. Dial in your sleep. It's important to get, like, it depends on the individual, 7 to 9 hours of sleep at night if you can. I mean, everyone's unique in their genetics and how much they need. But just find out what your sweet spot is. As best as possible, go to bed at the same time, try to get up at the same time. I know it's hard if you have kids. Obviously, you can't do it if you have the night shift. It's a completely different thing. But, dial in your sleep. You want good deep sleep. You want good REM and all that stuff. You want to physically train 3 to 4 times, and it's whatever that is for you. Like, weights are really good resistance training. Talk to your doctor, make sure you're capable of doing these things if you don't have any physical challenges. Find a trainer. I have a great guy that I can recommend to you. He's an amazing trainer, former Army Special Forces here in the United States. He's my trainer. But, to do physical training 3 to 5 days a week, that's really important. Dial in your nutrition based on your chronotype. Like, find out what is the best kind of diet for you as an individual. Everyone's not every, I mean, there's only some limits you can have as a human being, but some things are better for others than others. Depending on where your family was originally from, can have effects on the type of food you're capable of eating. You can actually get your genetics tested and find out how you process caffeine and how you process saturated fats, and it's really kind of fascinating. You can find out more, and you can dial in your diet more that way. So that, dial in your diet, exercise, and sleep. Logically, work on your mindset, work on your mindset, work on your mindset, work on your mindset, which we've been talking about. Work with a coach, work with a therapist, whatever it happens to be, but you practice these things and dial in, not only dial in your mindset, but like dial in your physiology behind the mindset, your breath, your posture, all the stuff we just talked about. Like, notice how you speak, notice your tone, your volume, and work on those things. Be a professional if you need to. Socially, get a good group of people around you. They say you're the average of the 5 people around you. Find 5 good people who are going to push you to be a better human being, more loving, caring, compassionate, more courageous, Whatever the character traits that are important to you, find people who are going to push you to be more of that, healthier, happier, more productive, more loving, whatever the things are. Have people around you who are going to challenge you. And then on the environmental piece, organize your environment as best as you can to support behavior change. Now, I'll give you two quick examples. Like for me, I need a clean environment. If my environment's messy, it's very distracting for me. I have a hard time doing work. So literally, I keep my place really nice and organized and clean. That's just for me. Some people like messes. That's cool. That's cool. But like organize your environment to support who you are, and who you want to become. For instance, the second example I could use, I work with people and they're like, I eat way too much sugary food. I said, well, hey, show me your work desk. And they show me their work desk and there's M&Ms on the work desk. Take me to your pantry, and they open up the pantry and there are Ho-Hos and Twinkies and cupcakes and cookies and all that crap. Open the refrigerator, and there's all kinds of stuff you'd like, oh my God, that should not be eaten by another human being because it's so unhealthy. I'm like, if you really want to eat healthier, remove those things from your environment as best as possible. That way you're not spending all your time trying not to eat that stuff.
Yeah.
Get rid of it as best as you can. If you have kids, it might be a little bit more challenging. If you're working in a work environment where everyone brings their crap into the cafeteria or whatever you eat, a little bit more challenging. But as best as you can, make a conducive kind of health and fitness you want. And I could literally do a deep dive into each one of those things because they're part of my program, and I spent 6 months diving into those with people. But that's my quick and dirty for you.
Yeah. Wow, this is really robust. Physiologically, psychologically, socially, and environmental, and a whole lot
Yes,
of
sir.
things. I just, deep dieting, deep sleep, or physical training, and a whole lot of them. And it's really
Yeah,
robust training. So, for my audience who want to reach out, who want to be part of this training, and who want to reach out to learn more about you and your coaching, how can they reach out, and where's the best platform?
I appreciate that. So, unfortunately, I'm on most platforms. I say unfortunately because I spend a lot of time on social media.
Yeah.
So, my website is Michael D, as in the letter D for David,
Yeah.
Ostrolenk.com. I'm on Twitter at M I'm on Instagram at Ostrolink. It's the initial of my first name,
Yeah.
full last name. LinkedIn, Michael David Ostrolenk. Substack, Michael David Ostrolenk. And I think that might be it. Yeah,
Amazing. Amazing. So
yeah.
definitely, I'm going to include the link to your website
Thank
on the show, so that they could actually more like be able to connect to the various others. And it's really
I
amazing having.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Michael, for sharing your journey, your resilience, mastery, and conscious growth. Your story reminds us that our true strength comes from awareness, integration, and the courage to face life challenge head on. It's really a pleasure having you on the show. And for my listener, check the show notes, and then you will see the link to actually connect with Michael. Once again, it's really a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah.